Right after World War II? So you're saying it was right after the war? Well then, the world up until then can be summed up in one word. Until this declaration, there was no justice in the world.
Eh?
Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars.
Hi, Seon-kyung.
Hey, Dals, what do you think justice is?
Justice? Is this edible? Sorry for the joke. Feeling a bit hungry at the moment.
You know what? There's something you often say when a question comes up that you're not sure about. I'm a little hungry. I'm going to eat something.
Well, work in music. You're constantly going to be hungry. Curious about the concept of justice? Justice. Have you heard of this dude, Michael Sandel, and his book, What is Justice? Why not just go ahead and ask him?
Did you check out that book before throwing out that line?
It seems you haven't realized it yet. Those challenging books are often just for show, not for actual reading. And do you honestly think I'm the type to buy and read such a book?
Right, of course not. Anyway, I did read it, but it didn't give me a clear answer on justice. It's like the author just keeps asking questions without really providing any clear definition of justice anywhere in there. Pretty frustrating, to be honest.
But moving on, about the wealth distribution graph you showed me last time, I'm still reeling from it. It really makes you question what justice even means, doesn't it? Anyway, here's my take on the question of justice. All right, here we go. The UN Universal Declaration of Human Rights. If you check out Articles 1 and 2, you'll get a good grasp of the concept. I'm going to recite it now, so pay close attention. So what do you think? Isn't this what justice should be?
UN World what? When was that released?
It was right after World War II.
Right after World War II? So you're saying it was right after the war? Well then, the world up until then can be summed up in one word. Until this declaration, there was no justice in the world.
Eh?
Are you surprised? Because it's so paradoxical? But think about it. We fought in the First World War and killed each other, and as if that wasn't enough, we also fought in the Second World War and killed not just hundreds or thousands, but tens of millions of people. It's a bit absurd to claim that there was justice for humanity in that context, don't you think? What was stated in Article 1? Men are endowed with reason and conscience and should treat one another in the spirit of brothers. Does that really make sense? I'm just suggesting we think about it together because I'm genuinely curious. Strictly speaking, the reality of human inequality throughout history stands in stark contrast to the principles outlined in Article 1. The prevalence of social hierarchies, such as the class system with kings, nobles, commoners, and slaves, underscores this disparity. Similarly, the existence of serfdom, a form of feudal bondage, further highlights the lack of equality in past societies. Until the early 19th century, a significant portion of the global population endured lives of servitude as slaves or serfs, working against their will. Now, consider Article 2, which prohibits discrimination based on various factors such as race, skin color, gender, language, religion, and socioeconomic status. However, discrimination has existed throughout history. And as for Article 1 again, which states that all people are born free, throughout history, human existence has been intertwined with conflict and warfare. In countless wars, many individuals have tragically lost their lives or been coerced into servitude, either through conscription or invasion. Given these historical realities, one might question how the notion of universal freedom can persist amidst such turmoil and oppression. In light of these observations, I want to ask, how many people throughout history have truly experienced the full extent of human rights outlined in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights?
Whoa, chill.
I could concede 100 times and still affirm this much. Before that, justice was rather lacking. If you have a counter-argument, fire away. I'm all ears.
Wow. Clap. After hearing you out, I gotta say, it's making sense. I mean, the fact that humans can still wage war shows there's some real barbarism lingering. We've still got a long way to go. Oh, wish we had more folks like Socrates and Buddha around. Maybe the world wouldn't be such a mess. So what we consider justice in the modern sense is actually a relatively new concept, isn't it?
Sure, but we can't assert that justice was entirely absent back then. However, it was certainly a far cry from the notion of justice we're discussing today. But why did people perceive it as justice back then? Can it genuinely be classified as such?
Yeah, tough stuff. You mentioned digging into this. Let's dive deep and figure out what justice really means and why things are the way they are. Even if you ask Socrates about this, I doubt he'd have all the answers. But looking at the reality of the 21st century, especially with that graph you showed me, it's hard not to feel a bit sour about the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights and its promises of justice. Kinda hits me in the feels.
Hits you in the feels? Then hit the bar for a bit. Hey, dolls, are you still there? Dolls?